I got some dominoes here. They're probably a little bigger than the ones you play with at home, but I wanted you to be able to see them. Some of you maybe anybody played like dominoes, like Mexican train dominoes or something? So we play dominoes for real now in our house. But the very first way every kid learns how to play with dominoes is to set them up like this, right? They learn that if you line them up in a nice, neat row and you knock down the first domino, they all fall, right? And it's fun. You can watch videos of this now online where you see people, they'll line them up and they do these elaborate mazes and they go up stairwells and they make logos out of different colored dominoes, and it's really quite fascinating. But this was God's plan. This is Jesus' plan from the very beginning, that one person would pass on the faith to the next person. That these women who had a ministry at Guyandotte Church of Christ would make a disciple out of my grandmother, who would make one out of my grandfather, who would then raise his kids to be disciples, who would then preach in churches and be elders in churches and make their own disciples, and then their grandkids, and then their great-grandkids, and on it would go through the generations, one generation talking to the next, spreading the kingdom of God everywhere. This is how the Great Commission is supposed to work. If you ever played with dominoes as kids, though, you know there's a problem. What happens when you remove one of the links in the chain? You knock them over, and then it stops. In fact, as a kid, it's one of the most frustrating things in the world to have this big, elaborate run of dominoes set up and realize that you knocked half of them down and somewhere you missed one domino. One domino was set just a little bit too far apart, or it leaned, or it fell the wrong way, and it ruined the rest of your chain. And Tom Rainer, in his book, The Autopsy of a Deceased Church, talks about this idea. He says, a little appreciated truth is that every church is only one generation from extinction. That when a church becomes so centered on itself and the people who come there, that they cease to make disciples of those who come after them, that they cease to care about the young people who need to know Jesus, they cease to minister to those who are far from God, they remove that link from the chain, then it's over. By the way, this